Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world, and welcome to the first one of a series of lectures. Please excuse my lockdown hair. My friend Ian's hairdresser got shut down for tier 4, so I'm back to looking a little bit like a mad professor again, but that quite fits what we're going to be doing over the next 4 days. Some of you, I know, previously watched my NLP and coronavirus that I did every day for a while, when we first went into this pandemic. And we had a different theme each day. And for a while we did about 6 or 7 videos on the 7 Hermetic Laws, which are written up in the Kybalion. I've actually put the links for those original videos in the comments for this one if you want to go back and review those, or maybe you hadn't ever seen them before. And as I was going through these 7 laws here in the Kybalion, and also I'm going to put a link so that you can download a free PDF of the book, the Kybalion, which is written by the 3 initiates, if you want to deep dive into that in a bit more detail. But one of the things that came up for me when I was doing those videos was a correspondence, very strong correspondence, between the 7 Hermetic Laws and something that was a great hobby of mine when I was a kid, which was electronics. I had 3 major hobbies or pastimes, if you like, when I was a kid. One was electronics, specifically radios. Another was music, and another was chemistry. So, my holiday times would be spent playing music, building radios, and basically blowing shit up with my friend Simon Fricker. I was corresponding with Simon actually just over the last couple of days, and reminiscing about the things that we used to get up to. And I said to him, it's pretty amazing that we're still around, let alone still have our fingers and all those kind of things because of the antics that we used to get up to. And one of the other things was that between Christmas and New Year, then, it's a bit of a low time for kids. You've got the excitement of Christmas, then you've got the excitement of New Year, but you've got this kind of patch in the middle. And something I used to really look forward to when I was a kid was the Royal Institute lectures, Christmas lectures, where they'd have various scientists would take a particular theme and for a week or so do lectures every day, and they were like a high point of my life. So I thought, why not do a Royal Institute lecture? Well, being inspired by the Royal Institute lectures, they still take place. And interestingly, the first one of those in around about 1700 and something was set up by Michael Faraday, obviously also massively into electricity and those kind of things. So over the next 4 days, I'm going to be taking you through some stuff around radios and electronics and how they relate to these. But also what I'm going to put in probably tomorrow, and then the final day, is that Simon's done a number of little pyrotechnic videos. So I'll edit those in so we can have a little bit of fireworks over the Christmas and New Year period. But I mentioned this correspondence between electronics and particularly radio frequency and the Kybalion when I was first doing those videos, and I said to people, would you be interested in deep diving a little bit more into that? And a lot of people said, yeah, that'd be fantastic. And so finally, here it is. I promised that earlier this year, but then, things got very distracted with lockdowns and then running physical trainings, then locking down again, then running physical trainings again, and pivoting online and all those kind of things. So finally, it's here for you over the next 4 days. So some interesting and exciting stuff. So particularly the ones we're going to start with are about vibration, about polarity, and about cycles and rhythms. Because what we need to talk about is, this is where this fits into polarity particularly. This is a battery, right? And a battery has two poles. It has a positive pole and it has a negative pole. But a battery is direct current. The electricity actually flows from, the electrons flow from the negative pole to the positive pole. And the battery always flows in that direction, which is why it's called direct current. And as we know, eventually the batteries run out. But what I want to talk to you about today particularly is about alternating current. Because alternating current, which was originally discovered by Nikola Tesla, and Nikola Tesla is now actually credited with being the originator and inventor of radio, rather than Marconi. So Tesla kind of historically, a long time after he passed away, now is credited with the discovery of radio, whereas previously that was put down to Marconi. So radio waves are alternating current. So we need to look at alternating current first. That's what we're going to do today, before we then start looking into other things. So direct current, battery, the pole is in one particular place, positive pole and a negative pole. With alternating current, what it literally does is it does this. It switches from one polarity to another. So if we were to draw an alternating current, where that's time there, then what we've got is it looks like that. Yep. Where that, we might say, is the positive pole. No red ink in my pen. So that is the positive pole there, and that would be, the negative pole. So what we've got here is literally it goes from positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. Yeah. And what we've got is a number of things. This distance here is called the amplitude. Which is normally measured in volts. And we'll come back to that later in the series when we start talking about power. Yeah. Because what we've got is we've got volts, we've got current, which is kind of like the amount of push there is behind this, and then there's the power, which is related to the volts and the current, which is measured in amps. And we need to look at these things because it really all adds up to a very interesting model. Then what we've got here is the distance between here and here is called the wavelength. Yeah. Which is measured in meters. And then that there, if we looked at that, yeah, if we looked at the distance between there and there, that is called a cycle. And so the frequency of this alternating current is the number of cycles per second. Yeah. So, and there's a relationship between the frequency, which is measured in cycles per second, although they did change the name of that now to hertz, to honor Maxwell Hertz, also an early discoverer of radio waves. So there's a relationship between the frequency, the wavelength, and the speed that it's traveling at. And the speed is a constant. The speed that this alternating current flows at is the same as the speed of light, which is 184,000 miles per second, or approximately 300 300,000 kilometers per second, or what would be actually 300, therefore, million meters per second. And what we've got is that the frequency times the wavelength equals the speed of light, which is normally drawn as a c. Yeah, so what we've got, for instance, if you're into amateur radio, which I am quite a bit, then there's a particular frequency which is 330 megahertz or megacycles, which is basically 30 times 10 to the power 6, 30 with 6 zeros after it. And what that is called in amateur radio is called the 10 meter band. Because basically, if this wave is changing, alternating in a second 30 million times, then the distance it will travel in that second is 10, there'll be 10 meters between here and here. And that's the first thing that we've got to get the relationship on. We'll keep coming back to this over and over again. So we've got the amplitude, which is in volts. We've got the current, which I haven't actually put on here. Let's put that on. And that's in amps. We've got the frequency, which is in cycles per second or hertz. And we've got the wavelength, the length of the wave, and the relationship between all of those things. And what we've been looking at over the next couple of days is once we've got this basis, then we'll look at how do we go about picking up these radio waves, which then relates to the law of correspondence. And then how we can not only build correspondence or tuned circuits to be able to listen to the radio waves, also how we go about building antennas or aerials to pick up the particular frequencies, to pick up the particular meter bands, but also to actually begin to transmit radio waves into what is actually formally called into the ether. It was believed that there need to be some medium within the universe for these waves to travel through. And they've postulated that what these waves travel through is the ether. And the ether appears to pervade absolutely everything. And it's kind of like everywhere and nowhere, all at the same time. Which sounds a little bit, for my Huna friends, that sounds very similar to the Keave, or the spirit element, through which thought forms are transmitted. So that's our first daily lecture. If you've got any questions about that, then please put them into the comments, and I'll get around to answering those as questions come in. If anybody's got any throughout the day, I'll put the link up for the Kabbalion as well. I'll put the links up for the previous videos, and I will be back with you again tomorrow at 1100 UTC, or what we call now GMT, or what used to be called in the radio world 1100 Zulu. See you tomorrow.